Sometimes the strangest weapon in a war is not a tank, a code machine, or a bomb, but a story convincing enough to make an enemy move his army. In early 1943, the Allies had almost finished pushing Axis forces out of North Africa, and everyone with a map could see the next obvious stepping stone into Europe: Sicily. That obviousness was the danger, because if Germany knew Sicily was coming, the beaches could become a trap, waiting with artillery, aircraft, and reinforcements. British intelligence needed Hitler to look somewhere else, and preferably to look there with the absolute confidence of a man who thinks the clue was stolen. So in wartime London, a group of people trained to lie for a living began building one of the most theatrical deceptions in military history.
The seed of the idea came from a naval intelligence memo associated with Rear Admiral John Godfrey and his assistant Ian Fleming, the future creator of James Bond. Buried among deception ideas was a grim suggestion: plant false papers on a corpse and let the enemy find exactly what they were never meant to see. RAF officer Charles Cholmondeley carried the idea forward, and naval intelligence lawyer Ewen Montagu joined him to turn something grotesque into paperwork, logistics, and performance. The plan needed a dead man, but not just any dead man. It needed someone whose death could pass for a wartime accident at sea. British officers obtained the body of Glyndwr Michael, a homeless Welshman who had died in London after ingesting rat poison, a real person drawn into a deception he never chose.
That detail should never be made too tidy, because Operation Mincemeat worked through brilliance, but also through a human life being turned into a military tool.
The intelligence team gave him a new identity: Captain Acting Major William Martin of the Royal Marines, assigned to combined operations. A fake officer could not simply carry secret papers. He had to feel like someone who missed trains, loved badly, forgot bills, and kept small scraps in his pockets. So Major Martin received pocket litter: identity papers, receipts, theater tickets, a ring receipt, love letters, and a photograph of a fictional fiancée named Pam. The forged life mattered because spies are suspicious of perfection, and the most believable person in the world is usually a little messy.
Then came the bait itself: personal letters between senior Allied officers that quietly pointed toward Greece and Sardinia as the coming targets. Sicily was mentioned as if it were the cover story, which is a beautiful kind of lie because it made the truth look like the decoy. The wording had to feel casual enough to be real, because a secret that waves its arms and shouts is just a bad stage actor in a uniform. Next, the British needed a place where the body would be found by Spain, handled by officials, and quietly become interesting to German intelligence. Spain was officially neutral, but parts of Franco's government and military were sympathetic to Germany, which made the Spanish coast a dangerous kind of mailbox.
Huelva, in southern Spain, offered exactly the right geography and exactly the right risk, including German intelligence contacts nearby. In April 1943, the body was dressed as Major Martin, packed with dry ice in a steel canister, and prepared for a journey no living officer would remember. HMS Seraph, a British submarine, carried the canister from Scotland toward the Spanish coast, while the invasion secret traveled inside a lie. Before dawn on April 30, 1943, the submarine surfaced off Huelva, and the crew released Major Martin into the sea with the briefcase attached. By morning, a local fisherman found the body, and suddenly the invented officer had entered the real world, exactly where British intelligence hoped he would. Spanish authorities took him to Huelva, where Major Martin was treated as a drowned British officer rather than a planted deception. The post-mortem was brief. The cause of death was accepted as drowning, and the man who had never existed was buried with military honors. Meanwhile,
The briefcase was the true passenger, because inside it sat the papers designed to make Berlin lean in closer. The British then performed the next act. They sent anxious diplomatic messages demanding the return of the briefcase, as if panic had slipped through the censor. The trick was that Britain knew some of those coded messages could be read by the Germans, so the performance of fear became part of the bait.
For days, the Spanish held the papers, and German agents pressed to see what this drowned officer had been carrying. The documents were copied and photographed, then returned so carefully that the envelopes tried to pretend nothing had happened. But paper has a memory of its own, and British examiners later saw signs that the letters had been removed, handled, and put back. One tiny test, a black eyelash placed inside an envelope, had vanished, which is the kind of spy detail that sounds invented until you remember spies are professionally odd. Soon, Bletchley Park intercepts and other intelligence showed the most important thing. German command had taken the bait. Hitler already feared an Allied move into the Balkans, and Major Martin's papers seemed to confirm the fear he was already carrying. German attention and resources shifted toward Greece, the Balkans, Sardinia, and Corsica, while Sicily became easier to misunderstand. On July 9th, 1943, the Allies launched Operation Husky, the real invasion of Sicily, with ships, aircraft, and troops arriving where the documents said they were not the main event. The Sicily campaign was still dangerous and costly because no clever document can turn a war into a magic trick. But deception helped keep Axis commanders uncertain, and uncertainty is not small when armies have to decide where to send planes, ships, and divisions.
Sicily fell in 38 days, faster than Allied planners had expected, and the campaign helped knock Mussolini from power later that summer. Historians still debate exactly how much credit Mincemeat deserves, because war is never moved by one trick alone. But as a single deception, it remains astonishing. A false identity, a briefcase, and a dead man's borrowed uniform helped change the enemy's map. Years later, the grave in Huelva acknowledged that Major William Martin was really Glyndwr Michael, the man underneath the legend. Operation Mincemeat worked because it understood something deeply, oddly human. People believe evidence more fiercely when they think they were never supposed to find it.